Psalm 23 is a confession that demonstrates to everyone how a special relationship with the Lord looks like. The Lord is my shepherd. When we confess that the Lord is our shepherd, it means we are trusting Him with all that we are and with everything that we have. It indicates that we are willing to follow Him. We are willing to allow Him to lead us. We are willing to listen to Him. And we are willing to submit to Him. When we confess that the Lord is our shepherd, it means we are willing to let Him have control of us and everything that we have. The Lord is my shepherd. In this psalm, David demonstrates something that warrants our attention. He talks of these shepherds who provide for his needs. He says that he makes him lie down in green pastures. He leads him in still waters. He restores his soul. He refreshes his strength. He renews his strength. David says that this Lord prepares a table in the presence of his enemies. Says that his cup overflows and the Lord anoints him with oil. Says that this shepherd allows goodness and mercy to follow him all the days of his life. And because of that, he desires to delight, to dwell in the presence of this shepherd forever. See, David is not just looking at his life here on earth, he's looking at his life here on earth and beyond this earth. The Lord is my shepherd. But wait a minute. There is more here. There is something that David says that warrants our attention, something that demands, something that you and I acknowledges, something that we can all agree that it is true. If you have lived life, then you are going to agree with David. Because between the green pastures, the still waters, and the comforting that comes from the Lord, there is the valley of the shadow of death. Between the paths of righteousness and the table that is prepared in the presence of our enemies, there is the valley of the shadow of death. Between the restoration of the soul and the Lord's goodness and mercy, there is the valley of the shadow of death. Between God's grace and our spiritual experience, between every good gift that we receive from the Lord, there is something that wants to stop us from enjoying those blessings. There is the enemy of our faith who wants to distract us from appreciating what the Lord is doing in our lives. There is something that wants to stop us from enjoying our relationship with the Lord. Between your good life, between the blessings that you receive from the Lord, between the good relationships that you have and all the successes that you have experienced, there is something that wants to bring you down. It is the valley of the shadow of death. The valley of the shadow of death, this deep, dark valley, is the twist in this psalm that makes you take a pause and reflect. It makes you cringe and feel the pain that comes after enjoying success. It makes you realize that, wait a minute, I need to be watchful. The valley of the shadow of death is the point of loneliness in our lives. It is the point at which depression kicks in. It's the opportunity that the enemy of our faith uses to want to discourage us. This dark valley is the point where your marriage appears to be like another deep, dark valley. It's that moment when you are signing divorce papers because you can no longer continue in that relationship. This dark valley is that moment of relapse after enjoying a long period of freedom from addiction. This dark valley is that point when the grips of sin are holding on to a believer. It's that moment of hopelessness and helplessness. It is that moment of fear, that moment when you want to give up. That's the moment of the valley of the shadow of death. The valley of the shadow of death is the twist in this passage that reminds us that life is not a bed of roses. It is the twist that reminds us of our weaknesses, reminds us of our limitations. It reminds us that we need the Lord each day. That we need Him when things are going well, and we need Him when things are not going so well. It is a twist that should make every Christian take a step of reflection and think. And think of the goodness of the Lord, and think of the promises of the Lord, and think of the reliance that we continually need to have on this good shepherd.